Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join today's stimulus conversation about trade and the environment. So, I'm Ashley Marquez, and together with me are Vince Nicolasora, Bert Martinez, Yliza Mendiola, and Blythe Mueco. Today, we'll delve into the intricacies of the aforementioned. So, to set the stage, perhaps we can share our own ideas or definitions of what trade is and how it can affect the environment per se as to catch a glimpse of each other's perspectives and thoughts on the matter. So I'll start. Now, trade refers to the exchange of goods and services between countries, which can significantly impact the environment in various ways. On one hand, trade can lead to increased greenhouse gas emissions due to transportation and production processes. It may also contribute to resource depletion, deforestation, and pollution as countries exploit natural resources to meet international demand. On the other hand, trade can also have positive effects on the environment, which can create a demand for environmental quality and can even increase environmental standards.
On top of those, I think we're also aware that modern trade goes beyond the traditional goods and services we usually produce. I mean, for example, our technology today unceasingly develops and progressively becomes in demand in the global arena. Thus, almost every country and businesses trades products of what we call information and communications technology. Such demand has been shaping our global market today, and it pushes the economy to adapt to this unprecedented trade environment. However, we may be disregarding its consequences. For instance, companies produce vast quantity of electronic devices every now and then. I mean, aren't we all anticipating better versions of our smartphones such as iPhones, computers, iPads, and tablets every year despite already having those goods? Where does it lead to? Discarding what we have to gain better ones. And where do our waste go? Exactly, dumps. They're all dumped.
Actually, you do have a point. In some cases, we even put to burn such materials, and based on some reports, we have around 72 million tons of e-waste as of 2013. Imagine how much waste our world have acquired today, and aside from those produced by our traditional goods.
Indeed. I can definitely say we all have some idea of what trade is and how it can defy, or rather, affect our landscapes as a whole. Now, we can delve deeper into this exciting conversation. So first question that comes to mind is this. Given the impact of trade on the environment, do you think we should continue to increase our world production of goods and ICT materials for import and export? Why or why not?
As I said, the demand for ICT goods and materials remains progressive, particularly with the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. We opted for utilizing technology to continue our jobs, services, and especially for education. Likewise, we heavily depend today on these goods for communication and for the overall prosperity of the economy in every border. We integrate these advanced technologies. Hence, they prevail to be a part of our basic necessities and in achieving global innovative developments. Thus, we may be facing a dilemma on whether we should pursue growth in the world production of goods and ICT materials, especially with the impact of this modern environment for trade, such as the issue on e waste. Decreasing or halting such production may result to economic disruption in terms of bankruptcies in businesses, job displacements, and even global recession. Worldwide disparities and tensions amongst nations that depends on ICT imports may also worsen. Likewise, our daily lives would be disrupted. Education could face setbacks, and healthcare services could be more challenged. Hence, this proposition may be undesirable as its adverse impact outweighs the gains.
Oh, that's interesting. But how should we balance the pursuit of economic growth through the production of these technologies with the environmental challenges posed by e-waste?
I think we should balance economic growth with environmental challenges by focusing on sustainable practices. For example, companies should adopt eco-friendly production methods and offer better repair or upgrade options for devices instead of encouraging constant replacements. Governments could also step in with stricter policies, like making manufacturers responsible for the proper disposal of their products. At the same time, it's important for us as consumers to be more mindful about how we use and dispose of our gadgets. If everyone does their part, we can support growth without causing too much harm to the environment.
Exactly. Realistically speaking, we may only be able to continue increasing our world production of goods and ICT materials for import and export as the demands for such would never cease to exist in the following decades. Thus, our best option would be to incorporate an integrated approach on ensuring sustainability whilst utilizing innovative resolutions. I mean, that would benefit all aspects of global trade, economic, and environmental welfare.
Wow, those are all wonderful and insightful insights. Now, for the second question. Are there any alternatives you can think of to solve the problem of e-waste?
Oh, that's a great question. You know what, Ash? One alternative that comes to mind is encouraging more recycling and refurbishing of electronic devices. Instead of throwing out our old phones or laptops, why not give them a second life? Companies could make it easier for us to repair or upgrade what we already have. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if your old phone could be easily fixed instead of ending up in a dump? Another idea I thought of is pushing for eco-friendly designs. Imagine if the gadgets we buy were built in a way that made recycling their parts easy. What if manufacturers made products that could be taken apart quickly and reused? It would save resources and reduce waste. I like to think it's a win-win for both parties, right? And honestly, I think a big part of solving problems is awareness. Governments and companies could step up and offer more programs like trade ins for old devices or even discounts for returning used gadgets properly. If we all knew there was a convenient way to dispose of these items responsibly, wouldn't we be more likely to do it?
Rethinking e-waste entails engineering gadgets to be extra durable, repairable, and recyclable. We can reduce environmental harm and the need for brand spanking new sources by means of reusing precious elements from previous gadgets via imposing a round financial system approach. Business like as a Fairphone was are already setting the usual for sustainable modular design that reduce electronic waste.
In my point of view, these alternatives stress the needs for initiatives that must be mandated by international trade legislations and standards. For instance, aside from the current frameworks today, free trade agreements and regulations such as the Basel Convention must start strengthening and incorporating provisions on e waste management. Thus, it would mitigate the exacerbating issues on the movement of hazardous waste amongst nations, and particularly the dumping of e waste in developing nations. I mean, I don't think these actions are uncommon to public awareness. Hence, a collaboration amongst governments, NGOs, and businesses are necessitated for an effective implementation of such resolutions.
To follow up on this conversation, as based on what you heard from your teammates, do you feel that you or your team's ideas are feasible or not? And if there are any sort of alternative plans or suggestions to be placed in the drawing board.
Based on the discussion with my teammates, I sense our ideas are workable, particularly with the stand of focus on sustainable practices in technology. The cost and scalability of setting this solution into practice. In addition to the problem of persuading producers to use them, may additionally need to be taken under consideration. A one-of-a-kind method might be to pay attention greater on focus elevating tasks that motivate clients to have interaction in recycling and sustainable disposal.
I agree that our ideas are definitely feasible, but implementing them might require a lot of collaboration between governments, companies, and consumers. For instances, raising awareness and creating incentives for proper recycling could help shift consumer behavior. At the same time, manufacturers need to be on board with the designing products that are easier to repair and recycle. It's not going to happen overnight, but with the right policies and consistent efforts, I believe we can make a sustainable practices the norm. Maybe we could also explore partnerships with local organizations to pilot these ideas and refine them as we go.
I wholeheartedly agree with all your suggestions and statements. This discussion has definitely helped us identify the needed capacity building measures necessary to trade in terms of the environment. Now, what are your takeaway thoughts from this exercise of ours?
This conversation is such an eye opener. I never realized just how much trade, especially in ICT goods, impacts the environment until we dug into it today. One big takeaway for me is how much our habits and choices, whether it's upgrading to the latest tech every year or not properly disposing of old gadgets, play a huge role in the growing problem of e waste. But you know what stood out to me? It's the fact that there are solutions. From recycling and refurbishing old devices to pushing for better eco friendly designs and stricter policies, it's clear we're not powerless in this. Sure, it's going to take some effort from governments, companies, and even us as consumers, but the ideas we shared today gave me hope, and I hope it will inspire others as well.
For me, the biggest takeaway from this conversation is that the issue of e-waste is complex, but not impossible to solve. It's clear that sustainable solutions such as better product designs, recycling, and promoting a circular economy are not just necessary, but also achievable. However, these solutions won't work without a shift in consumer behavior and stronger industry adoption. So while the challenges are real, our discussion has highlighted that through collective action, governments, companies, and consumers, we can move towards a more sustainable future. The key is raising awareness and making this solution accessible so we can reduce the impact of e-waste on our environment.
To sum up, it is crucial to manage e-waste, the usage of sustainable options, which include progress design, recycling, and the round economy techniques to reduce the impact at the surroundings. Increasing knowledge and selling accountable patron conduct is probably critical in addressing the e-waste difficulty. Even with these limitations, like price and industry adaptation nevertheless exist.
I think with all we can say that modern trade, together with technological advancements, are double-edged swords. Both drives global economic growth whilst hampering environmental sustainability. Therefore, it is imperative to take all previous recommendations on striving for ways forward into consideration and start taking an action today.
Now, this has been a great opportunity for us to dwell deeper into this set topic. I can definitely say that this discussion has opened us to ideally create avenues of connections in trade while also thinking of possible solutions and projects that can effectively be used in trading as a whole. With that said, thank you everyone for sharing your thoughts tonight, and we look forward to a much more progressive and proactive approach in trade that would lessen the damages that have occurred in our environment.